Buffs Nation, we're here. We're here. It's a wonderful day. It's been a beautiful day today, and I'm looking outside of my bedroom window here. Got a view of the Flatiron Mountains, everything like that. It looks like Boulder's getting a little bit of rain, which is always nice to get here. It takes care of any worries about fires happening here on the what do you call this, on the front range, right? But really excited for this show today. Just connected with John Gaw. I'm an idiot. I forgot about the time zone change. I forgot to double check that we were okay on the time. But he's hopping on here soon, and we'll be talking here shortly about a bunch of Buffs history, about his thoughts on moving to the Big 12. And I mean, John's an awesome guy. He grew up in Boulder years and years ago, went to Fairview High School, which is where we've had some Buffs players go to high school. That's where RK from DNVR, I think he went to Fairview, not Boulder High. But anyways, he's going to be in an awesome interview. He just started a YouTube channel a couple weeks ago, has a couple videos up, and he's going to be able to provide some really unique perspective, stuff that I could never speak on to the level of detail that he could. That's why I really appreciate it. Whenever I see Chris from Alpine Garage Sports post a video, I mean, he has so much more context and experiences with this program throughout his whole life. And so I'm really excited for you guys to meet John. Again, he'll be on here soon, but wanted to say hello. Would appreciate that like. If you can smash that, let me know in the comments who's watching. And I got a lot to talk about too. So I want to make sure I pronounce your name correctly. Bawana Beast. Played Fairview when I played football. Well, what high school did you play or play at? In what position? I want to know. Did you play offensive line? That's just my guess. But man, we have 2 days now of camp completed for the CU Buffs. And I got to say, a couple of maybe first impressions of the team, just based off of what I've watched on Well Off, based off of what I've listened to from Adam Munster Tiger, Brian Howell, the DNVR guys. It definitely seemed like day one, yesterday, they came out, and again, they had a 2-hour practice scheduled. And then Coach Prime was like, no, this team isn't ready to go full 2 hours, full speed. We're just going to go one. But if I'm going to give you 1 hour, you better go hella hard, 110%. And I think the intensity was there. I mean, from what I saw, it was great to see everybody getting hyped up. And it's awesome just to see Coach Prime there walking on his wrapped foot, getting everybody hyped up. And then I just love to see him going around on his Segway. I mean, that might be strange, but I think it's iconic, Smoky Hill, another big time program here in the Denver area. Love that. Sydney, thank you so much for joining. But I thought it was kind of ironic because if you follow my channel for a while, you know that I love this safeties group. I love the secondary. I think it's the most talented group that we have on the team right now. And I mean, wide receivers right there. I think running back is pretty good too, but safety is really the group that I have the most confidence in. They have the most experienced players, all of that. And I thought and on the flip side with the tight ends, they've been probably the group that I'm most skeptical about. We don't really have, a kind of a household name there at the tight end position. We have Louis Passarello, Caleb Fourier. We have some walk-ons coming on here, and that group has a big question mark. But it just made me laugh watching the Well Off video for practice yesterday when Coach Tim Brewster gives the tight end group a grade of an A. And then we go to the safety group, and Charles Kelly, without hesitation, F. Oh man, it's quite funny. But yeah, we're gonna have to see how camp goes. And sometimes, man, with offensive line, defensive line, stuff like that, with the running backs, it's hard to tell how their performance truly is when you're not hitting, when you don't have the full pads on, when you're not going full speed. But I will say, at the running back position, man, Alt McCaskill looks significantly larger than all the other running backs in the room. I mean, Cavassier Smoke is definitely that next biggest running back, and he's going to be crucial for runs in the red zone, short yardage, getting that short yardage at the goal line too to get in the end zone. But man, Alt McCaskill, he had that non-contact yellow jersey on, but man, just real smooth through those drills. And again, the way in which he can move like that with his size is just quite impressive. Oh yeah, I forgot Mike McDaniel went to Smoky Hill. That's right. That's awesome. Man, I kind of wish he was the coach of the Broncos, but it is what it is. A couple other things that I noticed. Javon Antonio, number 4, coming down with a big touchdown grab in practice over a couple defensive backs. And man, Coach Prime was not happy with the performance of the secondary yesterday. I haven't been able to see too much of man, Cindy, your comments making me laugh. I haven't been able to see too much of a day 2 yet, just because aside from getting that video out today, I mean, work has just been it's been great that I'm busy, but it's been busy yesterday and today. So hopefully I can catch up on that here soon. But I think you hit this right on the money here, Cindy. Their standards are so high, their F's are everyone sees. Absolutely. And I don't know why, it just kind of clicked with me that Coach Prime, he's going to be the hardest on the secondary. And I mean, those are the guys that are going to be going after passes from his son, which I think is that dynamic is all pretty interesting. But yeah, it seemed like the secondary had a rough day for their standards. And I think that if this team is going to make noise this year, we're going to need our deepest position groups to perform the best. I mean, this isn't rocket science. And so we need them to dominate, their days. Now, he is going up against who, honestly, I'm wondering might be the best quarterback in all of Colorado, pro or amateur, in Shedeur Sanders. But it is what it is. He looked great yesterday, throwing accurate passes, and he looks noticeably bigger. Obviously, if you compare his body to where it was at last year, he's definitely put on some weight. I'm wondering if he is kind of carrying around that 220-pound frame or so now. I really do wonder. So we're going to have to see where all of this develops. Overall, I'm very excited for the Buffs. We're less than a month out from TCU, and I am a little, hesitant. I think as a fan, I'm a little worried. Like, I'm hoping that they can get everything together, and because I mean, this month is going to fly by quick. I mean, we just had the spring game. It seems like yesterday, right? But Shedeur Sanders talked today. He was talking about how he feels like he's 80% confident in the offense this year or right now. And hey, he's got a month to put the rest of that 20% together. And that's going to be great. The biggest thing is, like, you can't really get that experience playing on the road or anything like that until you do it, figuring out how to communicate and work together until you actually go through it. But thankfully, man, only half the football season is played on the road. And again, I think as the year goes on, you're going to see everything just continue to grow or become a little bit more clean. It's going to become a well-oiled machine, and that's why we practice. We can work out all those kinks. Buona Beast, what you got to say? Same time, day 2, just calm down a little, because usually one side is firing out better than the other side. Exactly. Just usually the defense dominates. Yeah, and that's kind of the rule of thumb is usually the defense will come out and do their thing earlier on in camp, because the offense, it's just so much more based on timing and rhythm and kind of knowing these little nuances of, like, I hit this guy here, this is how he breaks out of this route. All of those all of those different things. But ultimately, I mean, this is why we got practice, and it's great that we're going to be able to see it here on Well Off, on Reach the People, with the pregame show, all of that. But man, I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy when we look at where we were this past year and where we're going now. We know where we're going to be playing football. We know we're going to be in Texas. We're going to be playing fan bases that matter going into 2024 and moving forward. But man, we do have a hell of a season ahead of us right now, with a lot of games to be excited about, including TCU, who should be a rival coming up as we grow into the new Big 12, and then Nebraska. But without further ado, we do have John Gaw here now, here from Buff Since Birth. So y'all be sure to subscribe to his channel. I've left it here in the comments, and I'm going to go ahead and bring him on the show. And y'all in the comments, be sure to hit that like and give him a warm welcome. John, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, brother? I appreciate you having me on, man. This is cool.
Yeah, this is this means a lot. It definitely means a lot now that I've started this channel. I've been able to connect with so many more Buffs fans, and it was great chatting. It was great chatting with you the other day, and really happy to have you here on the show. But I would love for you to just introduce yourself a little bit. Give us a quick synopsis. I told our viewers that you're from Boulder, but I would just love to hear a little bit more about growing up in Boulder and kind of having that Buffs fandom instilled in you from a young age.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Boulder. Went to Casey Junior High and Fairview High, and acted at Boulder Dinner Theater, which is kind of cool. Which unfortunately is going to close here real soon. Yeah, I've been going to games since I was little, and my dad was an avid fan. I watched during the Eddie Crowder years in the 70s where they weren't very good. My dad would throw stuff at the TV and yell at the coach, and then we kind of still yelled at the TV, threw stuff at him, and he delivered mail to their house. So I asked him, I'm like, so do you yell at him when you deliver mail? Because that's not nice. But he would yell at him and that kind of stuff. I actually modeled with his wife, Lynn McCartney, and really sweet lady, and deliver mail to her shop in Gun Barrel, actually. And so, yeah, I'm like, did you yell at her? Don't yell at her either. No, they, really, really cool family, really nice family. We didn't know them really well, but yeah, they were really good. I modeled with Lynn as all for a couple of years, and that's all I knew them. But yeah, really cool family. But anyway, made it to the McCartney years, and so everybody laughs about Mel Tucker. Well, there was a guy named Rick Neuheisel that was the assistant coach for Bill McCartney that took over for him. And within a couple of years, he was offered twice what he was making here at Washington State, and left for Washington State and took half the team. So he's not a very popular guy amongst older Buff guys either. So there's two Mel Tuckers in our past, guys. And then, just kind of made it through. I'm such a geek. I watched the 1990 game with Nebraska when they played, and it was real rainy, and and it was 0-0 until the last quarter, and then Eric Bieniemy decided to go on a run and get 4 touchdowns, and they ended up winning the game. But yeah, that's how geeky I am. I watch old CU Buffalo games.
Man,
it's sad.
That. Didn't he have like 4 fumbles in the first half too? Was that same
Yeah.
game?
He had 4 fumbles. Mike Pritchard dropped like 4 passes. It was a cluster, for a little while. But it was, it was raining like crazy in Nebraska, where they played on AstroTurf at the same time, which was always a bad idea. AstroTurf's a really bad idea anyway. I mean, I guess the new stuff they do is fine, but the 80s after AstroTurf was bad on knees and ankles and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, it was an ugly game that you'd expect to be played in the rain for sure. Even Nebraska was just trucking it off left and right, at the first. But yeah, then Bieniemy just ended up going on a tear and winning the game. I think we won 27-12. in the last quarter. So that's how ready for football I am. I'm watching old games from when I was young, Well, I wouldn't. It's funny because I actually watched it, and then my buddy watched the 1997 ASU Nebraska game right after that. And he goes, we're both 55-year-old divorcees that decided to move in together and do a man cave house. And it's great. Yeah, we've known each other a long time. We're like brothers. It's a really cool deal. But he just looks at me and goes, man, we're just, he goes, you want to hear something horrible? We were out of high school when both these games started. So we're like, man, we're old. Holy moly. Yeah. So it was like, holy shit. I'm 55 years old. So just turned 55. And yeah, man. But it's a lot of great memories. My dad was able to take us to some games. I think my first game was in like 75. And my dad, he was a mailman. He delivered mail in Boulder for 25 years. He delivered mail to the Mork and Mindy house and used to hang out with Robin Williams and have coffee. Yeah. Heck, when they filmed that show, I met Robin probably 4 or 5 times. There was an old roller skating rink in Boulder called Wheels Roller Rink. And now it's on Baseline and 30th, I think. Mm-hmm. And it's an old, I think it's a fitness place now, but there's a McDonald's next to it and stuff. It's by the Broker and all that. But anyway, my friend's dad owned the Broker and Wheels Roller Rink, and they filmed an episode of Mork and Mindy at the roller skating rink. And so I got to go and meet him as a 11-year-old kid, watch him film that. And I met him like 20 years later in Phoenix at I do comedy and stuff. So I was able to meet him, and I told him about it. And I'm like, I met you at Wheels Roller Rink. He's like, oh my God, that was 20 years ago. You were one of those kids? And I'm like, you remember that? So he was on some pharmaceuticals at the time, let's just say. But yeah, so I mean, I got to do some really cool stuff growing up in Boulder. And so my dad delivered mail in a gun barrel to this bank called World, but it was a World Bank out there. I don't even know if it's still there, but there's a family called the Williams family. Mm-hmm. And they owned that bank and several others, but they built the Williams Towers, donated them to the CU. So they're like big fans. They owned the back 2 rows at Folsom Field on the 50-yard line where the student section is now. And so they would give my dad 4 tickets for the next year, every year for Christmas. So I got to go to games since I was really little, and very grateful. So I've been there. I mean, I know a lot about CU football, and I've been there a minute. So I'm watching that. Yeah. And I was watching all this content, and Gary goes, dude, you know way more about Colorado football than any of these guys on YouTube. You are an encyclopedia. You should do a channel. Here we are.
Well, I think this is a great time for you to jump in because, again, like the fan base has just been dormant for so long, and nothing makes me more happy than to see other people that want to get on YouTube, want to share their experiences, want to share their emotional connections with the team that go way back. And so I'm really excited that you're just getting going with this, and excited to see where you go from here. But what I would love to hear from you, because I don't have a lot of memories myself, is what has been your feelings about CU going back to the Big 12 this next year? And as a fan who grew up with them playing in a very competitive Big 8, Big 12 conference, what are your feelings on everything now?
I'm excited for it because even though I like the Pac-12, I don't think even as we join them, they've ever really had their shit together, excuse my language, but it was sad when we left because people that watch now and the younger kids have no clue how much we hated Nebraska and how much we hated Oklahoma. there used to be t-shirt. I was a young kid and I remember seeing this and asked my dad what it meant, but they had t-shirts back then that said Oklahoma sucks on the front, but Nebraska swallows on the back. And I'm like, and they're gone. So that part of it sucks because the two biggest rivalries for going back there would be Oklahoma and Nebraska. And I'm a little bummed because it's like, okay, so what do we do now? It's like, I'm excited to get back to the Big 12. I really am. I think it's going to open up a lot of opportunities for some really cool new type games. We were stuck in the Pac-12 for so long, and there's a couple of great teams that would always slaughter us, Oregon and Utah and USC, which, I could do USC sucks in Nebraska. Should do those t-shirts. But it just kind of sucks because we're losing our biggest rivals from it. But I think it's going to be fun because I always love watching Baylor play and Texas Tech and TCU and Kansas and Kansas State. I always used to watch those games as well. But it's cool because we have like Florida now and, some other newer schools coming in. Yeah. I just honestly hope that Arizona and Arizona State follow. And it's a selfish reason. It's only because I live in Arizona and I get to see a game every year. Because it's either Arizona State or Arizona, and they kind of switch. Tucson's just a couple miles down the road. It's like going to Fort Collins. So it's not that big a deal. And so I hope they join just for that reason. That's the only reason. For me.
I think now it is looking, from everything that I've kind of seen today, it just seems like it's more and more likely that both of the Arizona schools will join. So I think it would be great. It feels great to be getting into a conference or going back to a conference that has extremely passionate fan bases. I think one of the things that I've really appreciated about the Big 12 is just seeing how engaged their fans are, not only at the games, but on Twitter. There's a ton of Big 12 content creators, and it's going to feel great to kind of kick up some of those old rivalries with Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Kansas.
Oh yeah,
and all that. And then maybe develop a rivalry with BYU. Right there's south of Salt Lake City. So. I'm very excited. But in terms of as a more experienced fan, I'll put it this way. Do you have any specific memories that can kind of help us personify or imagine like what this rivalry with Kansas State used to be like?
I mean, it was third in line, so I guess they move up to the head of the class. So was Oklahoma State a little bit because they've always been really good. They've always had, they can do this for sure, but they've always been pretty decent. But I think Kansas State, in my opinion, it may not be everybody else's, but Kansas State was for sure third in line because they were always really good. But they were a footnote to Nebraska and Oklahoma, but I think that rivalry is going to take on that, and honestly Baylor. Baylor was a pretty good team for a long time, and I really think that Baylor could easily become a rival. I'm not sure, honestly, because we had SC and then Arizona State was kind of a rival. I mean, that's what sucked about leaving is like I said, people can't understand. Well, I guess they can if they have their own team and they absolutely hate Ohio State or whatever, fill in the blank. But man, that rivalry against Nebraska was in freaking tense. I went in the Navy when I was 19 in 1988, right after I graduated high school, and I was, I don't know if it was 87 or 88. And it would have been, so 90 was at Nebraska. Then, let's see, it was at Nebraska. And then, sorry, I had one of my neighbors or my roommates, young boys come in. I just told them to be a little bit quiet because I'm on a podcast. So just kind of be a little bit quiet, Finn. But anyway, so Where was I? I was at a game.
Mm-hmm.
Had to have been 87, right before I left for the Navy. And I remember my buddy and I went, we were going to go out to a bar called Thirsties on Spear and down by the Tivoli Center. And he dresses up in, this is 87, so be easy on me. He wore a pink shirt with a white sweater around his neck. He didn't wear the sweater around his neck, white pants to here, and then penny loafers without socks. And it had snowed 2 feet that day. And there was still tons of snow in the stands and stuff. And I'm like, dude, you're gonna die. But anyway, that was one of the first years that we beat Nebraska in a long time. And it was like, oh yeah. And what was good about it, it was right before the championship kind of years, the tie year. And then when we got the championship, because 89, I think was 89 or 91, we tied with Notre Dame for the, I can't remember, but yeah, but anyway, yeah, man, I just remember being there and the fans, it snowed 2 feet, it was freezing, and that place was packed and it was rocking. And I just remember thinking, oh yeah, we're going, man. This is getting, because it was when McCartney took over in 81. There was Eddie Crowder was there until I think 79 or 80. And then there was an interim coach for a year. And then they got McCartney from Michigan. And it took him, it's not like now where they really had a big transfer portal. They kind of had to build a team back then, right? So he had just kind of slowly built that team back. And then, like I said, around 87, 88, it started to really cook. And then, yeah, it was, and then we had the glory years. And then, it's funny, that game I was watching from 1996, it showed a graphic. It was that ASU Nebraska game, but it showed a graphic of Colorado that was playing, I think, Oklahoma that day. And they were number 5 back in 1996. So we've had good years. It's just seemed around the early 2000s. It just, that's when it all just kind of fell apart at the end of the that's when the dark ages started.
Yeah. But we don't need to spend too much time on the dark ages, but
I don't want to know.
I would love to get your thoughts and just your feelings on, everything that's kind of happened this year. If I remember correctly, when we spoke, did you come to the spring game?
I did.
Okay. Yeah. I would love to hear about your experience being here in Boulder with us. And yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was, so my nephew lives in Colorado. I have a bunch of family in Colorado. So the hotels are cheap because they're in basements of my relatives. No, my nephew still lives there, went to CU, worked his way through college for 6 years, worked at the King Supers up in Table Mesa. He was there when the shooting happened. When the King Super shooting happened, he was in the back. He was the produce manager for, I think, 17 years there, because he worked from high school all the way to his 20. But he was there. He happened to be in back and heard, and then just people were running through the back. So he just helped everybody get out. But yeah, he lost 3 friends during that thing. So that was a bummer. But anyway, he worked his way through CU. So I stayed with Gage and his girlfriend Nova in a basement. And I was there from Friday and left Sunday night. So it was a quick trip, but I couldn't miss it. I mean, I cried when Coach Prime got hired. I mean, that's how much I care about this program. I was like, this is gonna be epic. Yeah. So I had to go to the spring game. So I bought a ticket, the airline ticket was like $80 round trip. Southwest is great for Colorado if you get it far enough ahead. And so I show up and I got to go see some friends. I have a lot of friends that hang out and do a tailgate every game that have done it for years and years and years. So I always get free food, which is great. And I got to see old friends from high school, which is cool. So I went and saw them for a little bit. And then I went and saw RK and the guys over at the Deviant DVNR bar, and then I saw Chris from Alpine Garage, and then Harry from Beyond Buffs, right? Bandwagon Buffs, right?
Yeah.
I
That's
see.
right.
I see him, and I'm like, "Yo, what's up, dude?" So, because I kind of like him because he's not claiming to be, He's like, "I really don't know much about this, but I'm jumping on the bandwagon. I love what they're doing. Screw it, let's go for it." Right?
Yeah,
really great, amazing energy, really cool guy. So I met him, and so of course he interviewed me for a little bit, and I said a lot of the stuff I said earlier, but no, it was amazing, and it was great because I'm from Arizona, so I don't get to see snow. Everybody was mad because it snowed, and I'm like, this is great. Although it was funny, I told Harry, I'm like, I think that Nick Saban called God and said, "Hey, so could you make it snow on spring training for our spring game for us?" And it happened. But it shows how resilient Colorado fans are.
Yeah.
It shows how much they care about the game. It shows that we have an incredible fan base.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was fun to be there. I mean, I've been all around the world. I was in the Navy. I've been to 17 different countries, and there are few places as beautiful as Boulder, Colorado. And you add that stadium to it, and there are a few places as beautiful as that stadium with that backdrop. You just cannot beat it.
Yeah.
Unless you see it in person.
Weather,
amazing.
It still looks great.
So it was a blast. So we ended up just having a great time. I got to hang with my nephew and see the game, and I thought it was fantastic and everything was good. But it just gave me that excitement of, oh, yeah, I know this team's not going to be here, but it gave me that excitement of, okay, yeah, we're here. This year's going to be different.
Yeah, it just felt like a statement of of all of us fans coming together saying like, we're ready to be back. And I feel like Buffs fans, we've done a pretty good job of still supporting the program over the last 15 years or so, when we haven't had much to cheer for, but seeing everybody come out in the terrible weather, to see them cheering, to be a part of that. And then on top of that, seeing all of these people that flew out to the spring game from Florida, from Texas, from Oklahoma, from all over the country because of how special and magnetic of a person Coach Prime is. So it was such a fun thing to be around. Iconic. I'll never forget it. And I'm excited to see what happens this year. Now, speaking of going into this year, I would love to hear from you, John. Who are you most excited to see play? Who are some of your players that you really have an eye on, or specific personal fan favorites of yours?
Boy. I can't be. I mean, Nebraska, of course. That's just such a given. As far as games, the TCU game sort of makes me nervous just because it is, their first game. It's very preseason-y, but it's that way for both of our teams. I said on a real quick video I did on my channel, I've only got two videos so far, but I'm just starting and getting more. So be patient with me, please. But I did do a little video, and I talked about how I was in the Navy, and everybody's talking about how can you get a team together that quickly? How can you do it that quickly? And I'm like, I did boot camp in San Diego for 2 months, and everybody goes in with long hair, medium hair, short hair, big, fat, skinny, and they take you in, shave your head, give you 31 inoculations in 2 days, and then all the fat guys end up skinny, and all the skinny guys they all just end up the same size getting out. But every one of us, a lot of people dropped out, but the guys that finished that program just in 2 months, every one of them was ready to go into battle with any other one in 2 months. We were that cohesive of a team. Of course, we had more training to do and all kinds of stuff, but the attitude was there. So if we can do that in 2 months, these guys are doing the same thing that we did in boot camp. including getting yelled at. And they're doing it for longer than 2 months. So I think they're going to be okay. But so back to your question, the TCU game kind of scares me just because of that. But the Nebraska game's a big one. USC, well, if we could just beat USC once, please. Oregon, I don't care. I mean, I'd love to see us beat in Oregon, but that's kind of wishful thinking. Yeah. But yeah, that Nebraska game, and then honestly, I think Craig is a big standout. I'm happy to see Charlie Alfredall get a number in play because I think he deserves it a ton. Of course, Shedeur and Travis and all those guys. I'm totally excited about all that, but I'm trying to look at other players that Kavasi smoke. I am excited to see. I'm excited to see some of the players that aren't superstars yet just become that, because I honestly think with our superstars it can happen. I mean, look at how deep our safety room is now. We've never had a safety at all for years. Not much has gone on there. And I saw an article the other day that talked about how is Shiloh going to play? As deep as that safety room is he really going to play that much? And I'm like, yeah, I think he's going to. But there's a lot of what's neat is this hasn't happened in a long time in Colorado, but they have the depth that they haven't had in a long time.
Yeah,
and not everywhere. Of course, they have a lot of work to do and different things, but still, if we would have got anything over a 4-star, just one, we would have been excited. And we just have multiple. We have tons of talent on this team that I just can't wait to see just cook. It's funny.
Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to take up the whole pod with just me. So I do DoorDash right now because I actually have a CDL and drive a truck for a living, but I've had 4 concussions in 2 years. So right now I just don't have the equilibrium for it. Mm-hmm. And I get migraines too much until I can get healed up. But so I'm doing DoorDash to pay the bills while we're going. And I was at this restaurant picking something up, and this other DoorDash kid came in, a young black kid, probably maybe 20, 22. Okay. And he says, I've got a Colorado shirt on now. It's just that I wore my Terrell Davis, baby. I found this at a Goodwill for $6. Can you believe that? And it's the real nice one too. So that's really cool. But anyway, but I had a Colorado shirt on, and like I usually do. And he goes, "Oh, Colorado. Yeah, they're going to be different this year. They're going to be pretty cool." He goes, "How?" And I'm like, do you know any of the players? He's like, "Oh yeah, Travis Hunter. He's going to kill it." And the guy's not from here. He's in Arizona, but the first person he brought up was Travis Hunter. So people are watching all over.
Yes. This team has a ton of star potential. They have stars on it already. And I think one point that you brought up that I wanted to hit on is just in the past, like we haven't had like guys come in here immediately as stars. And so we've seen them kind of grow into household names. I mean, most recently, probably my favorite players were, Visca Chenault, coming in here as a 3-star receiver, or, Nate Landman, what he became as an inside linebacker for the team. And I'm so excited to see, because like you said, our depth, it's so much more full than it has been in the past. And there's a lot of potential to see guys surprise and come out of nowhere and really become household names. I think, I speak a lot about Bishop Thomas or Javon Antonio, but I think that there are going to be a lot of players that surprise us that maybe aren't exactly top of mind right now, but they'll have their moments throughout this season, and we'll be able to rally around them. But what are your expectations for this year? Are you keeping them low? Are they sky high? Is it somewhere in between? What are you feeling for first year of Coach Prime?
I'm kind of in the camp of I would be happy if they did 5 or 6. You can't expect. I mean, that's one thing that does scare me a little bit. Is I think if you talk to most CU fans, if you will, like RK that went to my high school and went to CU and been there, like guys like that had the people that I've talked to that are my friends that have been, which is most of my Facebook, but all my friends on Facebook, I've talked to a few of them that are, been there a long time, been fans a long time. And most of those people are going to tell you that if we can get to 5 or 6, we might have a parade. Hell, we rushed the field with 1 win, folks. We won 1 game, and it was against Cal, and we rushed the field. If that gives you any idea how hungry we are, right? But I'd be happy with 5 or 6. What scares me are the new bandwagon fans that are more following Coach Prime than they are really into the team, if you will. Like we are. We're different. Like, I just think we're different than they are. I think it's cool that we have all these new fans and stuff, believe me, but they're just different fans than we are. And so they want to win the whole thing. They think that everybody's talking about winning the whole thing. And I don't really think that's the case. Even when they asked Coach Prime about that same question, he's like, well, we want to win it all. And that's the attitude he should have. But I think that makes a lot of people feel that way, right? Feel, oh yeah, we're going to win it all because Coach Prime said so, or whatever. And I don't really think he said that. I think he more was saying, hey, I'm the coach of a great team, and our attitude should be that we're going to win it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, a bowl game would be amazing. 5 wins would be amazing. 3 wins would be an improvement.
Yeah.
But my caveat to that is, even if we go, say, 4 wins, 5 wins, as long as the rest of the games it's close, I'll be happy, because that means we've improved at least that much, because we lost every game last year by 29, 30 points or something crazy.
Yeah.
So
it was tough to,
even if we
through halftime,
keep it close, baby.
Yeah.
Keep it close. That's all I care about, is keep them close.
Yeah, I think you brought up some good points here, because I feel like I'm trying to have a measured approach with what I feel like this team will do, but again, it kind of changes throughout the day, every day.
Yeah,
for a few
and how much you've had to drink.
Later that night, I'm like, man, well, I don't know. We'll just have to see. But I think I do have a theory kind of on this. I think maybe sometimes the high expectations that we can see for this team from others, I don't know if I necessarily think that it's just because they were following Coach Prime before this. My theory is that people just don't watch Pac-12 football, and I think that it's really easy with a conference that, heck, we've been in this conference for like 12 years or whatever, and it's a pain in the ass for us to watch as fans.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe it has to do with maybe some of that West Coast bias in a negative way, where outside of USC, there really just aren't a lot of eyeballs on these teams, even the good ones, where people know really how competitive this conference is going to be before it's blown to smithereens at the end of the year. It's going to be great, but I'm really excited to see where this team goes. And I think, you just mentioned it. We got a lot of people that are following this team for the first time because of a lot of different reasons. But I think what's great is that whether you have experience with watching the Buffs in the past, or you followed Coach Prime at Jackson State, now here, you followed him since you were a player and now here, or you followed players from other schools and now they're here, we're all going to be able to create some memories together. And I think that this is going to be really important for building the Buffs fan base here moving forward. But that's my little theory on things, of how things are going to go. But I'm right there with you. If we can get to a bowl game, man, build that statue,
build that statue right now. I'm ready to start parading. Maybe Dead and Company will come back and, play an extra concert over at Folsom. We'll just have to see. But I do have to start wrapping up here soon. But John,
understand.
I would love to hear from you. What if you had to pitch, some of our viewers who are watching this right now or later on replay, what they can be looking forward to from your channel, what kind of what you bring to the table. Would love to hear a little bit, of what you got going on, planned here in the future for your channel.
Yeah, I just want to do something different and have a different outlook from everybody else, just because I do have the history and I understand what's happened in the past and have that incredibly diehard, love for this team. I love the Broncos. They're great, but I'll tell you what, CU Buffs or Broncos are here. CU Buffs are here. Avalanche are here and Nuggets are here, just because they haven't won in a long time. It was nice to see them win finally, but it was like, it's about damn time. The Avalanche, I cried when they won that too, because at least they've been competitive most years so that was really exciting seeing the Avalanche do it. But I want to just basically give a different perspective towards what is going on, because I can actually throw in history points that, might have something to do with what they're doing now. I don't want to just be a short snippet. Hey, this is what everybody else is talking about, and I just need hits on my channel. There's a few of those out there. There's some that really care. I'm going to be one of those Buff fans that cares deeply and going to try to give you an honest outlook on what I think is going on game per game, and just give it a different perspective, because I do have that history with the team. Yeah. And then I also want to throw some history in there in each podcast. So people not only, because here's the thing. I saw a report once that men watch football because they love football. We just love football and what it is in the game and all that kind of stuff. Women love football because they want to hear the background story of each player and what the team was about and do that kind of thing. So I want to throw a little bit of that in there too, because I think men would be interested in it as well. But I want to give a little bit of, hey, we had this happen in 1992. And it correlates to what we're doing now. So my best friend Gary, that was in our first, he's going to join me with some stuff. And we're probably going to talk about general sports as well, and general football and what's going on, and give a different perspective, because it's fun having your guy that you banter with, right? Yeah. So that's going to happen every once in a while. And yeah, I just want to entertain people and give them some content from someone who actually, not say that other people don't care, but literally
not
watches.
Cared from 1975. Let's be real, right?
This is true, and I was 7 by then, so I was an old guy by then. No, I've been around a long time, not as long as a lot, but yeah, I just want to give that really cool, different perspective. Hopefully, I'm entertaining with it and do a good job. But I'm going to give it a shot, swing the bat, if you will, and we'll see what happens. And I gratefully appreciate this man here has. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to Colin from Life in Football. I emailed him. He called me the next day, and he's been amazing. And you have been absolutely amazing helping me out. Little questions here and there. You've always been very polite, and I greatly appreciate your help. Thank you for having me on. We'll see what happens with the channel, but you're the man. I appreciate you so much.
Oh, man. Absolutely, John. And yeah, just I'm looking forward to seeing what you put out, and just keep putting that content out, and eventually, it's gonna hit, and wha-bam, and especially this year. So I think you're getting started at the right time. I really enjoyed your first episode, hearing from your roommate
from
as
Gary.
Well. Hearing from his perspective of being an Arizona sports fan, of everything that's going to be going on. So I do love the unique angle that your show is going to be coming from. And I look forward to just seeing what develops as the year goes on. So everybody, make sure you check out Buff Since Birth. John has his first episode. I would say it's more kind of like talk show podcast form. You know, it's about 30 minutes, that first episode. You go on a various topics and you learn a lot of nuances about what it was like growing up during that time, about what it felt like. And that's something that I can never offer. That's something that a lot of us can never offer. And that's why, Buffs fans, you got to check out John from Buff Since Birth. So again, thank you for coming on. I'll have you on again.
Yeah, thank you.
It progresses. And as always, everybody, SCO.
One quick thing before you SCO Buff.
Yes.
Gary's such an awesome guy, but he's not happy. He's an Arizona fan, like, so Cardinals, Suns, ASU. He's pretty upset at Colorado because we got Sean Payton and Deion Sanders. He's like, Colorado can suck my butt. And I'm like, hey, I'm all right with that because we won. Anyway, all right, go ahead and finish up. Thanks, man. Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.